Guys, could you stay inside year in and year out with one person, even if you loved them to death? It was the only person you saw day in, day out, day in, and day out. You celebrate birthdays with that person, and that's all you did. It was just you and that person. Could you do it? I know I couldn't do it. And guys, the act is doing it. Stay tuned for more.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Guys, welcome back to the Act After Show. I'm one of your hosts, Linda Entwy, and to my left, I have the beautiful Chelsea, who has joined us.
Hi, guys.
And then to my further left, it's Raven.
Hello, guys. Welcome back.
And last but certainly not least, Chef Beans.
Yes, Chef Beans with the mental cuisine.
Guys, welcome back.
Thank you.
Another crazy episode. I am so hooked to this show. Like, I have so many thoughts. Like, I watch it, and then that's not the end of it. Do you know what I mean? Then I'm online researching, and I'm talking to my friends, and I'm texting, and social media. Like, are you watching this? Because I need more people to talk about this show.
Right.
Guys, your overall thoughts for the Stay Inside episode?
I only have one word, and it's wow. That's it. Wow. I'm speechless from this episode, truly. I'm speechless.
It was good watching the battle of control, trying to get control, losing control, the polarity on both sides, but both needing the same thing in different ways.
Yeah.
And I'm rooting for Gypsy.
Oh, yeah, because you don't know the back. I love that you don't know the backstory.
Yes.
Because, us two, forget about it.
Yeah.
We're all the way in, like all the way in. And Chef, what'd you think?
It was very intense. I like how Gypsy is being more aggressive, but this episode just is a mouthful. So I'm just excited to talk about it.
Me too. Me too. Guys, we have an amazing show in store for you. We do have some Fendi news, and I'm probably thinking you're wondering, what does Fendi have to do with it? You're going to have to stay tuned. And we have a new segment where we're going to talk about, in reality, the actual people that were involved in this whole saga. And I call it a saga because it was a saga.
Absolutely.
So let's just jump right in. So it opens to 2013, and Gypsy is kind of spying on the lawnmower guy, and you could tell that she's like going through some pre-body
That's putting it light.
sexual tension,
Right.
right? And she's just kind of like going through it. So, I mean, this is you're a mom. Do you have kids that are at that age where they're kind of trying to explore their sexuality?
Oh, ooh.
No.
Kids and sexuality. Well, they're older now. They're, 2021? Look, I'm like, what? How old are they?
Okay, can I just stop you right there?
I was gonna say-
I just want to let you know that it was 2013 when this was happening, and Gypsy was 22. So they're the same age. She's the same age as your kids. So put that in the back of your mind as you tell this story. Go on.
Just watching, I can't imagine because you're here to protect your kids. Besides kids, I have nieces that I protect. I know my kids personally at that age wouldn't even tell me things that happened at school because they knew what I would do. If I, and these were adults that were not handling themselves correctly to me as adults. So they will wait months later and say, "Ma, you know what Mrs. Such and Such said to me?" So that at that point, my energy level might be a little lower than if they would just tell me, your job is to protect.
Right.
So I can't fathom this in any kind of way. My kids and I, we're open. So I can, even about sexuality, even though it's weird to hear you say it, we're open with each other. And probably some of the conversations we have with each other, people are like, "Oh God, her and the kids are talking about
You
that."
have to be though nowadays.
So
you have to.
This is why, because she's so easily tricked now.
Yeah.
Because she has everything is a fantasy for her.
Yeah.
She has no reality, and that's what I don't want for my children. So even if I hear stories like this, when I hear stories like what you mentioned earlier, how you feel about Nipsey,
Right.
anything that I hear, I'm like, kids, this is what I heard. So what would you do?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just straight point, to the point.
Raven, that's a normal parent reaction, I would assume. I'm not a parent, but I would think that that's normal. What did you think, Chef Beans, of that opening scene where she was kind of really looking at this lawnmower guy?
I thought that scene was it was spot on, because even with this episode and starting the beginning of the episode with her having that time of the month, like at what point is the right time to have the birds and the bees conversation with your kid? So whether you have it or not, they're already going to get the information from outside, even if you try to keep it from them. And clearly Dee Dee was on the extreme level as far as keeping information from Gypsy, but she still got it. But it was just very telling as far as she's a 22-year-old woman and her hormones are just shouting out. So that's what I got from it. It was just spot on.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna say, and then I'm gonna let you say. Okay. So I was all in. So you know when you're sucked into a moment, I was sucked into that moment with her. I was really believing like she was like lusting over the lawnmower guy. And then when Dee Dee kind of breaks, I shook with her. Like I literally shook on my couch like, oh, she's breaking up that moment. And she's like, okay, well, it's bath time. I need you guys to put this in perspective. So it's 2013. We know that Gypsy was born in 1991.
Same year as me.
And so that made her 22 years old, and her mom is still bathing her. I see, again, with the goosebumps. I was just appalled by, because you can imagine, she's not only going through feelings of sexuality and exploring that, but also she's like feeling shy. You're at that age where you're like, who am I and what do I like? And now your grown ass mom is bathing you. And then you get your period and your mom is acting like you were supposed to tell her. You got to think about when you were that age, and you are that age. But those aren't things that are comfortable, and the mom was making it so uncomfortable. I felt uncomfortable in that moment. What do you think, Chelsea?
I was uncomfortable from the start. Just the whole scene, I was kind of like, okay. But I think in my mind it's uncomfortable for me because I know how old she is. Yeah. I feel like I would expect that out of somebody that was 16, 17, you know, in high school, that type of lust. When you're like 21, 22, 23, I feel like you've kind of already gone through that. Not that you don't have moments of that, but to that extent where you're like drooling, I was just kind of like, ew, this makes me feel weird. Because I know how old she is. I'm like, dang. And then, her mom comes in, oh, let's go take a bath. I'm like, what is this?
She tries to sing.
And she tries to sing, and you can tell she's over it. She's just sitting there staring like, Mom, I'm not in the mood. I'm over this.
Yeah, and she does say, I'm not a baby, right? She says that, and then that's like the opening scene to the rest of the show. And I thought, you know what? With her, she had that look of defiance in her face. And I was like, oh, it's about to be on.
Right. It's going down.
It's going down in this episode. You could tell, like, oh, we're going to have a battle.
Yeah.
And so when I remembered that the episode title was Stay Inside, I was like, someone is not.
No.
Something's going to happen. Let's talk about Dee Dee in the hospital. So we find out in this episode that Dee Dee's sick, and she's actually really sick. She has a type 2 diabetes, and she tries to downplay it, right, to Gypsy. And then I thought it was really funny because the nurse or doctor was like, no, this is serious. No, yeah, you could die from this. I told you needed to exercise. I told you need to watch your sugar levels. And clearly Dee Dee hasn't been taking care of herself because she has been solely focused on Gypsy, because Gypsy is her moneymaker. Gypsy is her way of living. So what did you guys think of that whole thing?
It took me a second to actually believe her. I was like, did she do something to spike her blood sugar in order to get control again and make Gypsy feel bad? I didn't believe her initially, just because of how manipulating she is, and I knew she needed to get her power back. So it wasn't until later on in the episode I was like, oh, okay.
So I looked at it a little differently. I looked at it as she was sick. She was trying to downplay how sick she was, but she couldn't. So then she figured out how she can manipulate the situation. And she was able to manipulate the situation by saying, you know what? You're going to be giving me my insulin. And because I have to do it several times a day, you have to be with me all the time. What do you think, Chef?
Yeah, it was another control tactic.
Yes.
Like, we need each other, and we need each other because if our plan that I basically conspired to make you a part of goes down, we're both going to jail. And we're going to jail. I've been to jail before. These are the type of razors and things that could happen. So that's why I was just kind of like, it was all part of Dee Dee's manipulation.
Yeah, I think that this was before we got to that part of the show, I think that this in the hospital was the first part where she was saying, okay, you know what? We're going to battle. This is the beginning of the battle. And she literally said, I'm going to need you now every single day. which again goes back to the whole stay inside.
Right.
So she knows that Gypsy is not only getting older, but she's seeing that she wants to have some type of independence. And she's trying to reel it in.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I actually felt like this, to me, now obviously I realized she was being manipulative still, but to me I feel like this was the start of her becoming weak. Because she now has a problem, and as the episode progresses, which we're going to talk about, you could tell she's getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and Gypsy's more on the rise of being manipulative and branching out and experimenting because she knows her mom is getting weaker. So when I saw that she was sick, because I honestly didn't see that coming, I was like, oh, here we go. She's becoming weak. So...
I just want to shout out Crash Lee, who's in our live chat right now. And I have to tell you, I did not feel bad for Dee Dee at all. So, last week I was like kind of on the fence whether I had some empathy for her. I'm all the way out. I have no empathy right now because after what I saw, after this episode, I was like, oh, you know what? You're the devil.
Karma. That's all I could think of. I was like, like laughing at her. I'm like, wow, karma's strong with you,
for a
girl.
second, during this episode, I did feel bad. Maybe like a split second when...
What moment?
It was the moment when she fainted. When she fainted after, speaking to Lacey, I was just kind of like, she probably is exhausted. But then everything else came in my mind, like, but she did all of this manipulation, so maybe this is karma returning to,
Yeah,
serve
I
its
didn't
justice.
feel bad for her because the preamble to that note
That's
is
the
that
only
she was
second.
attacking Lacey and telling Lacey that she was like corrupting her daughter and talking about men and sex, which was not true.
Right.
And meanwhile, you're manipulating your daughter. So no, I don't feel bad for you. You've been manipulating your daughter for 22 years.
Right.
Right. She fainted
Stop
from all
it.
the energy she's using to lie. It just
Go
left
ahead
her
and
body.
preach, Raven, preach.
The ounce of empathy just came out for that split second. That was it. This is, all right, let me get that back.
Did anyone else think it was weird that she ran out to Lacey? Because she tried to at one point, and then she went again, and I'm like, no, she's not doing this again. Like, why are you so obsessed with running out and attacking a young girl? Like, I don't understand that.
Well, I have an answer to that.
Please tell me, because I'm confused.
We got to remember that this was her business, right?
True,
so she was in control of Gypsy. Gypsy's now older. Gypsy is trying to have friends outside of, and Gypsy's at an age where she can comprehend what people are saying to her.
That's true.
So Dee Dee knows this. Dee Dee doesn't want any outside influence because one crack in the armor, one crack in the scam, one person finding out one small thing, and the whole thing would come tumbling down.
You're right. I didn't think
So
about that.
sitting on the porch talking to Lacey and talking about men and talking about sex, all of these things, it's going to help Gypsy gain more independence. And she's trying to control this whole situation. That's why, do you guys remember in this episode where she said, you will always be my baby?
Right.
Which we're going to talk about the birthday next. But before we talk about the birthday, Raven, let's talk about our network.
Hello, guys. Okay, so before we move on, you guys know what time it is. It's time for us to say thank you. Thank you for making us the ESPN of TV Talk. For us to continue to grow, we need your help. If you're on YouTube right now, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and if you're on iTunes, please give us 5 stars. We love stars, 5 stars. No matter where you are, leave us a comment so you can get involved in this conversation and all the conversations. There's so many shows to watch. Being a part of AfterBuzz TV has meant so much to all of us, and we truly appreciate you being supportive and helping us do what we love. Don't forget, tell your friends, and keep enjoying and watching all the AfterBuzz shows.
Yes, and guys, we're also on Spotify, so you can take us in your car, listen, download, all that good stuff. Please do check us out.
Yes.
Okay, the birthday. So it's Gypsy's birthday, and it's just the two of them with the sugar-free cake and the one candle, which I thought was really funny because we don't want to talk about age in this house, clearly.
And
Right?
the birthday hat. Oof, God, I hate those things. When she put it on her, I was like,
All of it, all of it. You know you have one candle because you don't want your daughter to ask you how old she
am I?
is.
Yes.
Right. But guess what? She asked anyways. So she's like, well, like, yeah, so I'm finally 18 now, right? And the mom, Dee Dee's
Dee Dee.
like, yeah. I mean, there was a mistake, right? So I don't know where you heard 1991, but it was really
That's
1995.
always her excuse. It's a misprint. I'm like, life is not a misprint, lady. it's like her excuse for everything. Oh, that was a misprint. Oh, the hospital got it wrong. Oh, the lawyer
She's been
got it
getting
wrong.
away
I mean,
with
it's
it.
always
Or
everybody
Lost
else.
It in Katrina. That's a good one too.
That one too.
Yeah, yeah. And then she was like, you know, you're growing up so quickly, but you'll always be my little baby. And she really just wants to keep her in this bubble, but she's having a hard time and she's not able to do that. And so Gypsy's not happy at all. You can see it all over her face in this episode. She's just like not having it. And you could almost see like she looked like she was depressed to me at
for
least.
sure.
Yeah.
And then the mom's like, okay, well, you know, I got your birthday gift. And she goes out to get it. And as she opens the door, I don't know if you guys caught this, but she saw the little girl riding the bike
Yeah.
across the way. And you could see the longing. Like,
I actually felt a certain way in that moment.
not only does she want to be out there and be mobile because, you know, she can be. Right. But she wants to also have some friends. What were your feelings?
Oh, no, I felt that moment. Like, there's certain moments in the show where I can feel her. And as a kid, you know, when you're younger, you're not a part of anything, you feel that longing.
Yeah.
And she's just sitting there looking, and I'm like, wow, I'm really with her in this moment. Like, I can feel her pain, and, like, she's stuck in the house, and she wants to go outside. Like, I just felt for her in that moment. I'm like, God, that's terrible. Like, I can't even imagine.
It is.
What do you guys think of that moment?
I'm with you on that because this show overall, watching how desperate she's becoming for her freedom made me think about abused kids, period. Like, I really thought about kids who are isolated for whatever reason, because there's so many things that happen in different households, and it made me think about that. Like, you just feel bad for humanity. I thought
real.
that too.
And Chef?
No, I agree that desperation for freedom, but she finally has friends. Like, these pigs were, I feel like, a cheat code, because though she had a bunch of stuffed animals that she can talk to, or even people online, here she has things that she can actually take care of in a sense. So it does give her a little bit of autonomy to be human, but it's still very sad that as a 22-year-old woman, these are your only friends, because, you know, Lacey is always just passing by. But
Right. So she has Moo Moo and Boo Boo that she named them.
Yes,
And she was genuinely excited. I was not. I was like, oh, guinea pigs. Yay.
Wait, question.
At 22?
Because I really like the neighbor. I really like her kindness.
Who, Mel?
No.
Lacey.
Lacey, the daughter?
Yes.
Okay.
And you all knowing more about the backstory, do they say anything in real life? Like, do they do any articles? Or?
Yes.
Okay. I was just wondering, like, is she really that kind? Is that creative? Or from the articles, do you gather that, no, she was
Oh,
that
yeah,
kind?
the kindness? Yeah.
Yeah, she seems pretty similar to that character.
Right.
Very calm, very polite, very always said good things about Gypsy, even when talking about her, you know, killing her mom.
But we're going to get
Before that,
more
but yeah.
of the real characters when we get to our segment in
Okay.
reality. Let's talk about Lacey and Gypsy.
We should start calling her Gigi.
Yeah, because that's my
Dee Dee,
note. I actually
Gigi.
call her Gigi.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Lacey and Gypsy and their moment on the front porch, because I thought that was a turning moment in this episode. So we see her having to sneak out onto the porch, which I thought also was ridiculous, because Mom's now gone to take a nap, right? Because she's getting weaker. And she's on the porch with Lacey comes over, and Lacey's mom, Mel, actually didn't want her to come over. She was like, you're going to get stuck there all day. I'm sure they're fine. Don't go. And she's like, well, I just want to say hi. So she goes over there, and she's just talking like a 20-something will talk. Talk about boys, talk about school, because those are the things that are important to you. And you could see that Gypsy really wanted to know more. She really wanted to know more about this Christian single site, too, and the new boyfriend.
Can you show me?
What do you guys think of that?
I thought it was funny for a combination of reasons. That everything leading up to this moment, we saw how much Gypsy wanted that freedom. So to now to have these conversations with someone around her age who's interacting with boys, you can tell it definitely sparked a flare in her, especially combined with the hormones that she's been going through.
Right.
I already knew she was about to take action. When she, what was that website again?
Right.
Right.
Like, could you go ahead and spell that out for me?
Write it
Say
down.
that one more
Write
time.
it down.
Actually, show me. Show me so I can also visually see that I'm on the right site.
Right.
And what I thought was important also in this moment is that when they go to the website, Matt Sutherland was the guy, the lawnmower guy.
Yes.
Right, which was the guy that she was like lusting over in the beginning.
Shoot, so was I. I was like, okay.
So
like, Granny came out, I was like, excuse me?
I didn't even connect
like,
that.
well, yeah.
Wow, that was him.
Yeah.
It was him. So I think that's also what enticed her to make sure that she could get on this site, right? So we know that dad calls. So mom wakes up to a phone call, and it's dad, and his name is Rod, and he wants to say happy birthday to Dee Dee. And this is another time where we see the crack in her trying to control everything. So she's like, no, you can't talk to her. It upsets her. You know, it gives her anxiety. Plus, she doesn't even know it's her birthday. And she is worried about how many years she has left, all of this stuff. And I was like, this woman woke up lying.
Where
She just at the drop of a dime is able to pull all this stuff out of her head. Listen, when I wake up, I need to have my coffee first. Don't say more than 10 words to me. Don't call me. I'll call you back. You know what I'm saying? Like, you did all that and you just popped your eyes open. Like, you were a professional liar. And so I thought it was interesting because, again, you see, okay, she will do anything and say anything to protect this scam that she's got going on at all means. What did you guys think of that moment?
I actually felt kind of bad for the dad because she's told her whole life, and even later on in the episode, that he has nothing to do with her. He's not in her life. And that's not true. And he's, you know, it's an example of him actually trying to call her. And he even says, you know, I call all the time. What's wrong with her now? Like, you can tell he's totally out of the loop.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what's wrong with her now? Like, what do you mean? Like, I just want to talk to her. It's her birthday. And I feel for him because up until this moment, we think he's not even around. And he's desperate to talk to his daughter. And I just feel bad for him. Like, he has no idea what's going on. I'm sure he'd be mad if he knew what was going on. He'd be pissed.
Absolutely. So we see that part. So that's like another crack, right? So Dee Dee's not only dealing with rebellious young adult. She's also dealing with an ex who's asking questions. Then she gets a phone call. She gets a phone call from the hospital saying that when they need to replace the tubes in Gypsy, she needs to sign out a new consent form because Gypsy is now an adult.
She's of age.
And that, I could tell that was about to set her off. She was like, wait, what? Because it was reality, because 18, even though we know she's 22, we're playing 18. This is another chip away at the scam. So she's now starting to think, how am I going to control this situation?
And for what's funny for me, in real life, that was tough. In real life, knowing my daughter went to the doctor on her own, I was like, who, how? Like, who? So her needing to keep all of that, because there are some levels just in parenthood, period, where you're kind of control, but in a healthy way, not in a let me keep my kids sick sort of way. So I could relate to that in a healthy way, guys, in a healthy way. But I remember being taken aback that my child, now there are things I won't know.
Right, I get it. It's more like, oh, my kid is not a kid anymore. She's an adult. She's growing up, and she's all the things that I used to have responsibility for, she's now taking on that role, which, if you think about it into the extreme situation that this was, because she was manipulated in the situation, because she was such a control freak, what you felt, she was feeling times 10 because she also is sick, right? She also has that Munchausen syndrome. So you combine all of those things, and yes, Dee Dee's going to spin out of control. She's going to spin out of control because this is her livelihood. So what does she do? She goes to the mall. So let's jump forward where she goes to the mall, and they're seeing the lawyer, and she's basically like, I need guardianship, my daughter, I need to be able to make the medical decisions in her life. And you could tell the lawyer was like, I mean, yeah, your kid is physically disabled is what she's seeing, but when she asked the 3 questions, like...
Oh, Dee Dee was going to stop her from breathing.
Yes, when she grabbed her arm. Yeah. Go ahead. What did you think of that? Actually, Chef, what did you think of that?
I think this is something that we've been seeing throughout each episode, how Dee Dee controls her with a lot of nonverbal. So as she's sitting next to her, squeezing her when she wants her to answer a certain way, but the lawyer was very intentional with the way that they were asking questions and watching that, okay, she can actually answer these questions. She's not, I don't want to use, what word did they use in the episode? Do you remember?
What?
There was a word that they used, the only way where Dee Dee will be able to basically make all the decisions.
Incapacitated,
Yes.
maybe, or
Yeah,
something.
she was like non-functional. Or
Yes,
something like
she
that.
basically proved that she was functional and she can still make all the decisions as a 18-year-old person.
Yeah. So here's the thing. The attorney says you're going to need the doctor's consent,
Right.
and then you're going to have to go to court, a legal hearing. Only if you can prove that your daughter, in fact, cannot think for herself. So then she turns to Gypsy. And when she turns to Gypsy and she's like, okay, so can you read? And she's like, yes. And then you could see her and feel her mom's hand on her and her think, well, I can read a few words. Can you write? I can write my name. And we know that she can do all that because we see her online presence. And then she said, well, if you're home alone sick, like, what would you do? Oh, I'd call my mom. And I think the lawyer was starting to see, okay, there's something not right here. I don't know exactly what it is, but there's something not right.
I was
So when
thankful
she's
for her in
right,
that
and then when
moment.
she
I'm
said,
like sitting there, and right when she started quizzing her, I'm like, thank you, because to me, I'm astounded how many people have let this child down at this point,
Right.
just to this point. And at least she's asking questions and she's tipped off, other than the doctor, but she's grilling her, and it's
Right.
like, what's your, questions that should be asked that are proving, even simple questions. It's not even like they were complex, that she can think for herself. And I'm like, yes, girl, go. You get her. You get her. You know what I mean? So I was actually so thankful for the attorney at this point.
yeah. So when she says, basically, you passed the test, was what she was giving her, a verbal test. Missouri state law says you have to have physical deficits. You can't just have physical deficits. You have to have mental deficits. And it's clear that Gypsy can think for herself. And when I saw Dee Dee's face in that moment, I was like, oh, she's about to lose it again.
Right.
Because, again, this is like the fourth crack in the scam, right? So she wanted to leave. So you saw how they just kind of left. Like, you can't help me. I'm going to try to take this show on the road and take it elsewhere.
It's getting weaker.
Right? Yeah.
getting
So
weaker.
they go to the mall, and I thought that this was a really great moment when she was feeling ill. So Gypsy was like, sit down in the little massage chair, and I'll go do our errands. But meanwhile, we know that she's been chipping away at that nest fund, chipping away, and saving her own little money gathering. And she goes and buys this computer. So her secret mission was to get a computer so that she can get online to really have contact to the outside world, because she doesn't have it on a regular basis. What are your thoughts on that?
I was so happy.
Oh yeah. Am I the only one that was kind of like, how is Dee Dee not noticing that money's going missing? Like, she was taking like $20 bills, which I know there was a big wad of money in the nest egg bag, but to me, I was like, how is she? Because she micromanages everything, and she's so manipulative and so on top of everything. I'm like, how is she not noticing where this money's going?
I think she's taking for granted how smart her daughter is, and so she's waiting for it to be more money, to take a little money here, more money, and then a little money here, so that you don't notice it kind of gets
Getting
smaller. Yeah.
Because I thought that, I was like, kind of made me nervous. I'm like, ooh, geez, the day she figures that out, it's going to be bad. It's going to be real bad.
Yeah.
But the whole scene, even her ankles, like right when she pulled up her ankles, which we all know she has type 2 diabetes at this point. So I was expecting that was what was going to show. But it just put into reality, I'm like, ooh, she is weak. Like, she can't stand. She's getting dizzy. Her ankles are swelling. And Gypsy rolling up and, I'll do the errands. I'm like, ooh, here we go. Here we go. It's about to get good. It's about to get real, real good.
And it was almost like a battle of the manipulations, because what you see that Gypsy has learned from Dee Dee is how to lie. So she comes up to the counter and she's like, it's my mom's birthday. She wants a laptop. It has to be cheap because I don't have a lot of money. Like, I was like, wow, she just like rolled.
She's
that
ready.
out. Either she was practicing at home or she has learned from a professional. And we all know what the answer to that is.
Right.
So she buys the computer. She has the sense of mind to have the key so that she can go outside, put that computer under the seat, throw away the bag, throw away the box. That's what I'm saying. Like, in this episode, we saw so much manipulation from all the different players, and these two are manipulating each other and battling each other in their own house, but it's all passive.
Right.
You know, it's all passive.
It is all passive.
They both know they're doing it, but they both also don't know that they're doing it. It was there were so many layers in this episode, you guys. So many layers. So I also thought what was interesting was, so Gypsy comes back in and she hears her name over the intercom and she freaks out, right? Because she thinks maybe she got caught, right? Because her mom is quick to catch everything, but her mom is not feeling well. And I thought, well, how are they going to get home?
I thought about that too, because I'm like, she can't drive, or is she gonna pretend to drive?
Right.
Like,
So that was only kink in my zoning into the show. I was like, well, how are they gonna get home? But they got home.
I'm like, sir, you need to call someone.
Right.
She can't drive.
Right. And I know you all didn't have Uber back then, so I'm just saying. So the roles reverse. So Gypsy now has to take care of Dee Dee, and we see her given the insulin shot, and the mom lying on the couch and wanting to spend time with Gypsy. But what I thought was interesting in that moment is Gypsy was looking away like, are you good? Like,
Right.
I'm asking you, but I really actually don't care. You know that rhetorical when you say to your friend, you good? Yeah, I know you're good because I got, that's what she was doing. And her mom's basically like, no, actually, I'm not good. Let's spend time together. And her face was like,
dang it.
This woman, right? That's the PG version of what I was about to say. Yes.
Why did I even ask?
Why did I even ask? Because I really didn't want to spend time with you.
Her hand was on the wheel.
Like, hand on the wheel, head turned.
Yeah.
Like, you good? Girl, you good? And then she's like trying to reel her in with her favorite movie, Twilight. They watch Twilight, and the mom's covering her face over the sex scene. And I was like, you know what?
But this adds to what I was talking about earlier as far as like parents with the birds and the bees. Because at whatever question that they try to portray on media, maybe around like 13, 15, whatever, but at this point, people find out about that stuff way earlier. And now Gypsy being 22 with the stuff that she's already been Googling, she's kind of like, okay, Mom, like I get what you're trying to block, but I'm far past anything that you're trying to hide me from.
Yes, because I just realized with her with the computer, they're just showing what they're showing on TV. Who knows everything
that she
really looked up? Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I love how there was like a little crack, because I was like,
Yeah.
okay, which I know they did that for the show, but I'm like, she can see. But then all of a sudden it closes, and I'm like, okay. Like, well,
but that was a great creative moment, because
just
you knew that she could see, and you knew that Dee Dee was trying to shield her from it, but you also knew that she was going to get past it anyways. I don't know. I was seeing this show on like so many levels. So yeah,
it's very creative. Like, kudos.
So then we see, it really is.
Seriously, like kudos to everybody involved with this project. Seriously, it's amazing.
So we see Gypsy with her new computer. That was $169. So I want to throw that out there.
Is that normal? Sorry, I thought that was a little low. Am I just ignorant to that?
It depends which laptop. There are like older laptops that you can get.
because I was like, dang, that's cheap.
Yeah, but we got to remember that was 2013
that's
or
true.
something. So it's all in perspective, and I think that she probably could get a couple hundred. Even now, you can get a laptop for like $500. So
$199.
She goes online. And she's created a profile on ChristianSinglesMingles.com. And when I saw her like get up and put her hair on and put that satin ribbon in her hair, I was like, oh, it's about to be on.
Oh, yeah.
She had the Kim K wig.
Yeah.
I said, okay, share.
Yeah, right, the dark, long one.
Not messing around. Not messing around. And I was like, oh, this is about to just get all kinds of crazy. Because when she gets back to it, she has 10 new messages. And one of those messages is from Matt, who's the lawnmower guy. And it's the first message she clicks on. And y'all seen the episode, so I can't say it, but let's just say it was an explicit picture that 99.9% of women have gotten in their life from the random dude unrequested, unsolicited, unnecessary. And guess what? You don't ever get a response.
Nope.
We don't like it.
And girls don't like that.
You know,
girls don't like that.
I don't want to throw you out under the bus.
You already know.
Chef. I don't want to look over in your direction. But I'm just saying, we've all gotten that picture, and it's unnecessary.
Listen, I just thought this scene was funny, and I just, in my head, I'm like, oh, wigs and pigs. I don't know. I thought
That's
that was
funny.
cheesy.
Yeah, that was funny. That's actually really cute.
I almost fell out of my chair. When I think about it now, I knew this was eventually coming because we all know that they eventually have like a sexual relationship and it's, you know, whatever they're into. So I knew it was kind of coming, but I don't know, I just wasn't ready for it. Especially that. I was like sitting there watching it and I'm like, whoa, like almost fell out of my chair. People were like, what are you watching? And I'm like, I swear.
She wasn't either.
I was like, oh,
Yeah,
okay,
she had a little pink cardigan on. She quickly closed the cardigan like she was
not
90.
expecting that at
I
all.
laughed my face off.
Oh, gosh.
Laughed my face off. So she doesn't respond to Matt's picture, but she sees Nick, and she starts corresponding with Nick. And Nick wants to instant chat with her, and automatically he's complimenting her appearance and talking about Disney and Princess and Rapunzel and Tangled. And I was like, oh, I already felt something is not right because you both are grown.
Right.
And now, and what are we talking, and I love Disney. I love Disneyland. I go to Disneyland all the time. I'm there, but like, my man's not going to talk to me about Rapunzel. Sorry.
Yeah.
And he was saying all the right things, probably not even intentionally. Like, I think they said Tango was her favorite. So him saying that, I knew it was like, boom, a trigger. Then, yeah.
Yeah. It was nuts.
I knew it was about to be on because she's already so open.
Yeah.
So him leading with that, I was like, okay.
So they're talking for a week. Nix wants to see her body, and at first she lies and says she can't. And then she's like, explains that she's in a wheelchair and that that's not her hair. And there's like multiple issues with her, right? And then he's like, that's okay. I still like you because I also have multiple issues. I have this thing in my eye. But the thing in my eye is called schizophrenia or multiple
I didn't
personalities.
understand that part. Why did he refer to? Because I'm like, is that a sign, like a symptom of that I'm not aware of?
That's what I thought too.
Because I'm like, do people get like little phantom? You know what I mean? Like things.
Right.
Like what did that mean? Was it rhetorical? Was it a metaphor? Like I was kind of confused on what he meant by that.
I didn't know what he meant, but all I knew he meant is that he was crazy, and that was a red flag.
I was like,
That was a red
Wave the
flag that
flag.
you have not only multiple personalities, you say explicitly that the other personality is dark. Vampire Victor.
I was like, what?
But, you know, they both were like, well, we both have things that are wrong with us, which, you know, I think is great. If you accept someone for who they are, that's obviously what we all want. I just thought it was a little odd.
She did too for a second.
Yes.
She was like, well, okay. You know.
Yeah.
Yes. So then we fast forward and we are back with the lawyer. So Dee Dee's called the lawyer because she's already asked around. She's asked the doctor. She's not going to get the guardianship. But what she can get is the power of attorney. And she wants this power because if you guys remember when they were in the mall the first time, she was saying to Gypsy, like, we can get in trouble and, like, we can be homeless, the doctors, the Medicare, the Make-A-Wish Foundation. She was naming all the places she was getting money from, guys.
Right.
The scam could be over if we don't do this, is what she was subtly saying.
She's already planted that, and we'll both be responsible.
Right.
Now.
So she says to the lawyer, well, I was told that I could do power of attorney, and that's all I need. And the lawyer's explaining it's not the same as guardianship. She would have to be incapacitated for you to be making the decisions. And I thought that was really important, guys. Think about that and keep that in the back of your mind as we move forward. Because again, we're having a battle, right? So who's going to be the one that's incapacitated? Just saying. So, she basically says, well, can you do it or can you not do it?
Right.
And she's like, I can do it, but just know that you're the caregiver. And so if there's anything that does happen, you would be the first family member that they would go to. And she automatically thought of her husband, right? Because she's been telling everyone that the husband's not involved, but obviously the husband is involved or is trying to be involved, right? So again, this is with the control. What did you guys think?
I was actually really shocked that she just blurted all that out. I feel like Gypsy knew that in the back of her mind, but I was shocked that she actually said it out loud. Just laid it all out, and it's like, you can go to jail for this. Like, she pretty much admitted everything they've been doing is wrong.
Right.
She's not manipulating her. She just flat out's like, we could go to jail for this. I hope you know that. I was shocked.
Because she's unraveling.
Right. Very, very much.
Yeah.
All the way.
All the
She's
way.
unraveling.
All the way unraveling. So then we see that she goes over and she basically attacks Lacey, right? So she attacks Lacey, saying that you're putting all this stuff in my daughter's head. And then she collapses, and it's not a good look for anybody, right? So she gets back inside, and she manipulates that situation. She says she's fine on the phone, and then as soon as she finds out that she's getting this power of attorney and it's arrived, what does she say? She's like, oh, I'm not feeling well, and she'll have to lie down. And it was crazy to see Gypsy be tormented because she's in the wheelchair. Her mom's about to collapse. Does she get out of the wheelchair?
Yes.
Does she sit down?
Right.
Yes.
What, should she walk and help her? Should she not? Like, that was a whole thing with them.
It was.
And then, so she finally gets into the bed and basically flips the situation and says, sign this or else we're going to jail and you'll be cut and you'll be stabbed and all these bad things will happen. The police will get you.
Yeah, and what's funny about this scene, the mom has actually been in jail before, so that's what I was saying earlier as far as like her using a few stories to let her know it's scary in there, and this is not a place that we want to go.
Yeah, it was really, really, really terrible. So then you basically see her feeling trapped is what she says. So she tells Nick. So she tells Nick everything. And I was like, oh my goodness. She can't get away. She can't tell anyone. But what does she say? She doesn't need a wheelchair. She says, she makes me sit in this, and we've done a lot of bad things and lied to a lot of people, and if they ever knew. And I was like, oh, so she knows.
Yeah, and she feels the burden.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, because she's playing the game. The two of them are playing the game this whole time, and it's like a battle of the wills. Who is going to win the battle? Who is going to win the battle?
And what's his response? I'll protect you.
I'll protect you. And then when she said, from anyone, I was like, mic drop, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
it.
I was happy for her in that moment because if to have any secret and be able to finally let it out feels like a weight off. So I think for her that's the first like
Yeah.
here we go.
Right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
But then it gets better. So then there's a moment where she's fantasizing about Nick, and she brings out that ribbon that she had in her hair. It's now like wrapped around her wrists, and there's a whole scene there with
geez.
Nick. And I was like, wow, okay, so we went from 0 to 5,000 in a minute.
Real quick.
So when you guys
Yeah.
earlier said like she probably spent some time
Googling,
researching
yeah.
stuff, she had to have to know, to go from that to like self-pleasure, all of those things.
I was not expecting that at
I was
all.
like, Nick
all.
is teaching you some things,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're also exploring some things on your
Hey,
own right
sending her
there.
stuff, I'm like, ooh, this is not good.
Oh, guys, we have to move on. There's so much stuff, but let's at least do some news and gossip real
Yes.
quick.
Okay.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So there was a lot of stuff, and I am a super, super, super fan right now. And as I pull it up, I will have it of Joey King. So we have Joey on the beach, and she was really method acting. And guys, she shaved her head for this role, and I think she just owns it. She owns
Absolutely.
it like 100%. So she posted this on her Instagram, and I just think she's a beautiful girl.
She's so pretty.
Yes. And then next up, we have the actor that played Nick on this episode. And his name is Calum Worthy. And Calum, he did full method acting to become Nick as well. And I quote, I went to places that I hadn't gone before emotionally. And he says it exhausted him going to those places, so he doesn't actually know if he's going to watch the series because he
Wow.
doesn't want to relive those things that he did. And he's a Canadian actor, and many of you guys will know him from Des, from the Disney series Austin and Ally, and he was also Alex Trebloni in American Vandal. So he's a really working actor. And then to prepare for the role, if we want to talk about him just a little bit more, he made sure to do his homework. So he spent 2 months writing an essay about this whole thing and about Nick's role in this whole thing. And he read books. He talked to some autism places, because what we don't know yet, but we're going to learn, is that Nick is autistic. And so he completely embraced everything that he could learn about autism. And he said that his uncle works with students who have autism. So he spoke with him about that character too. And then the next news that I have for you guys is Joey. Joey is part of a Fendi campaign, and she posted on her Instagram, and I love Fendi, so I was like, oh my gosh,
Okay,
what
Joey.
is that? Right? Isn't she adorable?
Love her.
Yeah. She also won most recently a People's
Kids'
Choice
Award. I actually
Award.
worked that show, and I was there, and it was amazing.
Yeah?
She looked amazing. My favorite thing about her, and we talked about this last episode, is when she auditioned for this role, she didn't even do the voice. Like, they cast her as Gypsy without even hearing the voice, and she was like, well, hey, do you guys want to hear the voice? And they're like, oh, you can do the voice? She's like, well, yeah. And they're like, perfect. That's how amazing she was for this role. They didn't even have her do the voice.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's on it. And then she spent some time with Ellen, and apparently it was one of her biggest dreams to go on the Ellen show. And so she joined Ellen and had an amazing time. And she said, I can't believe this actually happened. This is a dream come true. Super cool. And then the last thing I wanted to say, we will have a segment that we talked about in reality next week, because we are running out of time. But I do want to say one thing. Gypsy posted 4 years ago on her Facebook, that bitch is dead. So I want you guys to think about that as we move on to the next episode. Guys, I'm Linda Entwee. You can find me all across social media at Linda is So Girly.
And I'm Chelsea Snyder. You can find me at Chelsea E. Snyder at all social media platforms.
I'm Raven French. You can find me Raven French in all social media.
And I'm Chef Beans. You can find me at Chef_Beans with the Z.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, guys. We love you. We see you in our comments. We see you in the live chat. Continue watching. Let's talk about it, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.